Hey guys, it's me Chandra. So today's video I will covering for Dante Overview. As per usual in here, I will cover regarding the positive and negative, answering some question like Q&A, give recommendations such as like best rank stopping point, and of course explain the kit, how to play him the simplified version, and including the build. So yeah, let's get started. And let's start first with the positive of Dante. So the main highlight in here of Dante is that he's the first ignition DPS, because before all the works by Nanami Star Trail, and yeah, she's the only one because the other S-Ring doesn't have any ignition. So basically Dante is the first one that can fill it the blank space in here and complement with Nanami Star Trail, which is good. It makes the ignition team is more functional. Second, if you have higher investment Dante, actually he can become a decent alternative, or at least a little bit worse alternative compared to Lucia Pyro. So let's say you make triple S, it's a little bit worse, or more or less can be same, depends how you play with SSG Lucia Pyro, which is I think it's pretty good though. And the continuation in here, because he is more versatile and have more value that can cover quite good like both in fire element and ignition, he's actually, in terms of meta perspective, okay, he's actually better than Virgil. So yeah, because at least Dante in fire, it's not so much different with Lucia Pyro, but Virgil is so much different with Selena Penissimo. So because of that, Dante in terms of value, in terms of meta, actually better than Virgil, and actually pretty good. If you're especially new player, having Dante, it can cover you at least to progress like better, at least compared to Virgil. And the continuation is that the good part is that Dante is free. So yeah, because of that, like it's free, better in meta. So yeah, that's a good thing actually about Dante. As for negative, I don't think Dante has any major downside. So I just want to give you some reminder in here is that I think a lot of people kind of have misunderstanding regarding Dante, is that Dante is a character that doing the best in ignition. And a lot of people, I think they too focus on fire, which is they put with like what Vera and Watanabe, and that's not actually his best performance. His best performance with Vera Gerafor and Nanami Star Trail, because yeah, that's the nature of him, is better in ignition. So also that's why you kind of disappointed why his performance in fire is not as great as like Lucia Pyro, assuming the same rank, just because of course Dante is more into ignition. So I just want to clear stuff like that, because a lot of people still kind of misunderstood regarding Dante, maybe because effect is a new stuff, so people not getting used to, or maybe new player. And now let's move to the team of Dante. So for Dante teams, there's two. For the ignition, which is his best team, it will be consist of Vera Gerafor, Dante, and Nanami Star Trail. For fire team, the meta team will be Vera Gerafor, Dante, and Watanabe Epitaph. And now let's move into some Q&A in here. First, how to get free Dante? How to get free Dante is very easy. Just simply doing the DMC story, exactly the stage 6, and then yeah, you just need to clear that, you get right away. There's no like time gated or any like gacha stuff or dorm from like Alisa stuff, something like, no, it's just like straightforward, you clear that stage, you get directly. Very easy, very convenient. If you ask me what is the best rank stopping point, for my recommendation, it's better for you to pull one copy and you get one free copy again, and you can ascend or rank up until like SS3, which is I think that's a good also stopping point for free to play, just because it will boost also Dante damage and quite like improving performance too in general, which is that's why I recommend if you can pull one copy, and that's quite, at least that's a good like stopping point for free to play for the minimum base. However, if you may be spender or you have spare BC, then you can pull until triple S, or basically you just need to pull 2 times though. So it's even lesser than Virgil, it's more accessible. That's why I say like if you have spare exactly 21,000, then you can try to go to triple S, because triple S specifically is really good because it will buff the signature move, and that also will quite significant boost the performance in terms of PPC and Warzone though. And maybe some of you wonder how much BC that you need. So in here I will just provide you how much that you need, like depend on the stopping point you want to go. Take notes, for Dante you start with the 1 copy, okay, just because we get 1 for free. So that's why if you find like what is a tally by 1, it's not tally by 1, because Dante we start with 1 copy already. So yeah, let's keep that in mind. Also I'll provide the cap calculation and the weapon, and lastly I just accumulate everything from the character up to the weapon itself though. Next, if you wonder is Dante's signature weapon is a must or not, for me If you can get one, then I really recommend, just because of course it's a limited, we don't know when it will come back, so like for the sake of collection. But also in the same time, if you are like care about meta rotation, you want a smooth run, then the signature weapon is actually quite help you, because it help you not just damage but a smoother rotation though. However, if you maybe just like a freestyle, don't really care about meta, actually the weapon is not super necessary. Next, regarding pulling priorities, you prioritize signature weapon, cup or SSG or triple S. And my answer is that prioritize for signature weapon, just because weapon have so much upside, not just because more damage, more convenience rotation, it give you unlocked for harmonize, so it's a better buff as everything. Also, you can give weapon resonance, so it even can improve Dante performance. So in general, weapon offers so much value, so that's why I recommend to prioritize for first signature weapon. However, the next step is that very depends on you. If you're a collector or just like want a full package of the moveset, I really recommend to pull the cup first, just because Cavalier itself is one of the Dante weapon from the game. It feels weird if you don't get that, and it's also you can use as a combo in there in the cup itself, which is pretty good. So I think for freestyle collector, this is a next priority. However, if you just care about meta, then pulling SSG or even triple S, that's a much better option, just because it will improve Dante actually performance in terms of meta. But of course, it's more expensive, so keep that in mind. As for Dante banners, basically I'm so tired to explain again. This is probably my third time, so I'll just explain very brief. If you want more detail, I already put in Virgil video, and I have my upcoming video regarding the banner more details, so you can just check that. But in very brief is that Dante's banner is a special banner. It's separate from the normal PGL character. It's even separate PT with Virgil, so be careful. It's also use special currency. It only mostly can be obtained from paid, or just use PC though as a universal currency. You cannot use blue ticket, or even for weapon you cannot use that red ticket, or even for the cup ticket you cannot use that. It's a special currency. That's why this is the recommendation one though. So one pool is 175, 10 pool is 1750 though. The PT is just the same. You have two choices, the 60 PT or 80 to 100 PT. It's just really up to you, but I recommend the 60 PT. As for weapon and the cup, basically all the rates is just pretty much the same. The PT all pretty much the same. It's just they are in the separate banner though. And maybe some of you wonder how strong is Dante. And if you want to compare in Ignition, I can say she's not comparable, just because he's basically the first DPS in Ignition though. Or the other like character in Ignition only Nanami Startrail, and I don't think that's even fair to compare. So there's in Ignition, he's basically nothing to compare. He's literally the first one. However, if you want to compare into fire performance with Lucia Pyro Oath, then if you have the same rank, Lucia Pyro Oath is still pretty much better. However, if you give higher investment in Dante, let's say like triple S, then he can be like equal or a little bit worse than Lucia Pyro Oath as SG. Depends how you play though. And of course, if you go further, then he of course become much better. So in short, his performance, if you have high investment, it's pretty much decent. Can be a quite a little bit worse alternative than Lucia Pyro Oath. And now let's talk about Dante Kit. So let's start first with the ping system. So ping system in Dante, quite similar like Virgil, where they don't use the traditional ping system where it's like RNG based. Instead, like it's already fixed. So similar like Lucia Pyro Oath. And each of these orb represent his weapon. So of course, if you use the red orb, it will use Devil Sword Dante. If you are using blue orb, it will use Balrog. If you're using the yellow orb, it will use Dr. Faust. And if you see there's a white orb above, this is basically a universal orb where if you use any of the skill or any type of move that consume orb from these three weapons, then yeah, it will use that white orb instead. So yeah, Dante is also similar like Virgil. And of course, you can see there's an additional button which is jump, and a gun which is I will explain later. So let's start first with the red orb, which is Devil Sword Dante. So of course, if you already equipped red orb, you can just do normal attack and do the basic attack combo. You can also do this on the mid-air. You can tap again the red orb to perform Stinger, and he will accumulate the bar in the middle by half, and this bar is usually pretty important, which I will explain later. In addition, after you use Trigger, you can just keep tapping Red Orb and he will perform million steps. So simple, just like spam Red Orb all the time. Also, you can just hold Red Orb in here and Dante will perform Overdrive. It also will accumulate the bar in the middle. Another move, you can tap Jump, or at least you are in the mid-air, you can tap Red Orb and he will perform Helm Breaker. It will also accumulate bar in the middle. Take notes, all the moves that I mentioned before as a basic attack, all of them consume orbs. And if you already have your bar in the middle is full, you can just hold basic attack and Dante will perform Dance Macabre. This move will give Dante energy and also will accumulate Judgment Gauge if you see the number above the bar. Yeah, that one actually will be useful later, that I will explain for his signature or Sin Devil trigger. You can still perform this hold basic attack or Dance Macabre even your bar in the middle is not full. However, you will only get small amount of energy and you will not accumulate any like number gauge in there though. And lastly, you can just hold Jump in here and he will perform Upward Thrust, but this move is actually universal. Even you equip the Blue Orb or Balrog, he will still do this Upward Thrust. So that's about the Red Orb. Now we will talk about the Blue Orb, which is Balrog. The first thing, of course, you can just do any basic attack combo in here. I will show you. You can also do with press jump and basic attack for the mid-air attack. Next, you can tap again Blue Orb, then he will perform Heavy Jolt in here. This move will accumulate bar in the middle. Also, you can just double tap Blue Orb in here, so after he perform Heavy Jolt, he will follow by Fly Dragon, which is he will throw Uppercut. Next, you can just hold Blue Orb and Dante will perform Break Spiral. You can actually just continuously hold Blue Orb, but it also will continue consume the orb, so yeah, keep that in mind. This move also will accumulate bar in the middle. Another, you can just press jump or while in the mid-air, tap Blue Orb and Dante will perform Firestorm. This move also will accumulate bar. And the last thing you can do when your bar in the middle already full, you can just hold basic attack and he will perform Sin Rising Dragon. This move will give Dante energy and also will accumulate the Judgment Gauge, the number you see above the middle bar. And lastly, also it will give the combustible stack. So this combustible stack is basically for the ignition effect though. And this move is mostly used if you want to do the ignition rotation. And that's for the Blue Orb. For the Yellow Orb, which is Dr. Faust, you can just simply tap in here and he will perform Red Hot Knight. Alternatively, you can just hold the Yellow Orb until fully charged and it will continuously consume orbs. Another thing, you can also press jump and tap Yellow Orb, he will throw the head. Tap again Yellow Orb, he will retrieve the head and it can also pull the enemy. And additional notes in here is that whenever you already make the bar in the middle full, whenever you just tap yellow in the ground or even in the middle, whatever, it will also give you the Judgment Gauge too, or the number above the bar. Last weapon is the gun or firearm. For the gun, you have two options. So if you tap the Red Orb or Devil Sword Dante, then you can use the dual gun in here. You can just simply tap it, or you can do on the mid-air and just keep tapping the gun button though. Alternatively, you can just press jump or at least while in the mid-air, press any direction and press the gun button. And second option, you can tap Blue Orb and press the gun button and he will shoot with shotgun. You can also perform this while in the mid-air or just pressing jump and press the gun button. And the last move, you can just use any direction and then tap the gun button. So yeah, that's all the weapon for Dante in human form, and when you have the signature already available, you can just press that and Dante will enter the SDT or Sin Devil trigger. When you enter SDT, basically you can stay as long as you can, so kinda different than Virgil that have limited time. However, his move is limited by the bar gauge in the middle. Whenever it's run out, you can only do basic attack and white orb. Basically, you cannot use other like red, blue, and yellow. And in here, I will explain all these buttons. So basically, you can of course do basic attack in here. You can take a look at the basic attack combo. Next, you can just press the white orb. This is just basically similar like firearm or gun, but instead just using the fireball. Next, the red orb or Sin Devil trigger event. Press the red orb, it will consume the bar in the middle a little bit and it will accumulate the number gauge. Alternatively, you can just hold the red orb until the bar in the middle is empty. Next, the blue orb or Sin Devil trigger the loose. Basically, you can just tap the blue orb, he will perform the homing missile, or you can just even like keep holding the blue orb until it consumes all the bar in the middle. Likewise, the red orb, this move also will accumulate the judgment gauge or the number above the bar in here. And for the yellow orb or Sin Devil Trigger Demolition, you can only use this when you have full bar gauge though. If not, you cannot use it anymore. And yeah, you can just press that. It will consume all the bar in the middle and accumulate the judgment gauge. Or you see the number in here, it just accumulates. And additional notes, if you have combustible stack from the human form, whenever you use any skill from these 3 orbs, it will deal ignition damage and it will accumulate further the combustible stack up to 20. If there's no combustible stack, any skill that you tap from these 3 orbs, it will just deal normal fire damage. And lastly, of course, if you have enough energy, you can perform the signature move. But in here, Dante have 2 different signature moves. First, if you only accumulate the judgment gauge, you see the number only less than 800 and you press signature move, then Dante will perform the Sin Inferno, or I can say this is not a true ultimate. But if you can accumulate the judgment gauge greater than 800 in here, you see it's more than 800, right? It's 1000 right now. Then if you use your signature move, then Dante will perform the Sin Devil Trigger Judgment, or I can say this is the true ultimate. And maybe some of you still confused how you can control that you deal fire damage or ignition damage while you in the Sin Devil Trigger. I actually already explained before, but I will explain again. So basically, when you enter to Sin Devil Trigger and you have this combustible stack, you can take a look here. You get from the Sin Rising Dragon the whole basic attack from Balrog. Then when you move to Sin Devil Trigger, he will deal ignition damage from the 3 skill orbs in here. However, if you go to the Sin Devil Trigger without any those stacks, like basically just empty, he will deal fire damage. So that's how you control. So yeah, that's basically all the majority part of his kit, but he still have another like etc or special move that I will explain in here. First, the classic Trickster. So basically you just move any direction and hold dodge and Dante will teleport to the enemy. Next, double jump or air hike. So you can just tap jump twice in here. You can also tap jump and hold the jump in your hand. Dante can teleport to the enemy. Another classic move, Royal Guard. So basically just don't do any direction and tap dodge. And yeah, he will perform Royal Guard. You can also extend the period by just simply holding the dodge button, but of course it will consume the bar. In addition, if you do Royal Guard in the right timing, he will perform this like counter attack. Next, you can tap the bar in the middle or in the keyboard. The default key is G, and then Dante will summon the sword, and you can even use this while moving and it will perform a different skill. One more interesting part, if you move into Sin Devil Trigger and you tap the middle bar or G, he will just end immediately the SDD though. Next, Provocation. Basically you can just tap jump or at least in the mid-air, hold the bar in the middle or hold G for the default key on the keyboard and he will throw Rose. And the last one, the Cup Cavalier. This is still actually Dante weapon, but it's just like separate, they make it cup. So in here, of course, you can just charge until full and you can just simply press that. However, if you don't have any charge, you can just keep tapping the cup and you see he can do the combo of Cavalier in here. Pretty cool. So yeah, that's pretty much all the outline of Dante Kit itself. Now we'll explain how to play him in the simplified version. Take notes as usual if you really want to know like the fully dedicated, the most efficient rotation, and I always refer to the better content creator that dedicated into meta such like Spider2B. So let's talk first in Ignition team how to play Dante in simplified version. So when you switch to Dante, tap blue orb and change to Balrog, double tap the blue orb, hold basic attack and tap signature move and enter to Sin Devil Trigger, and after that hold breath until it's consumed all the gauge bar in the middle and end with the signature move. And then we do the same rotation again one more time, or just repeat it, the one that I say before. After you finish with the second ultimate, use yellow orb and change to another character. As for fire rotation, how to play Dante in simplified version, when you switch to Dante, double tap red orb. After the whole basic attack, tap signature move to enter to Sin Devil trigger, hold red until it consumes all the gauge, and end with the signature move. After that, tap yellow orb and change to another character. So that's pretty much it regarding Dante Kit. If I missed some of the moveset, then apologize. And now let's move into Dante Build and start with memory sets. For general set, it will be 4 pieces of Shakespeare and 2 pieces of Cory. Cory location is 1 and 3. Harmonize is another 2 pieces of Cory. So in short, it will be 4 pieces of Shakespeare and 4 pieces of Cory. As for resonance is stop any attack, bottom is signature move. The next build, this is quite niche. This is only useful if you can do a single rotation PPC like a weaker enemy. So it will be 4 pieces of Shakespeare and 2 pieces of Herschel. Harmonize, you have 2 options. It's either Elizabeth or Hereford. Both of them have the same effect. As for resonance is stop any attack, bottom is signature move. As for hypertune, prioritize first bottom row. For weapon resonance, the priority will be deadline timing and glorious afterglow. After that is incandescence. So that's pretty much it regarding Dante Overview. In general, I think his kit is pretty much simpler and easier to play compared to Virgil, which is I think good for casual. The good thing also he is free. And of course, if you want to pull weapon and cup, I think just make it complete, good for collection. And of course, if you want to go a little bit further, then pull 1 copy. I think that's already good enough as an overall. And for me, I think Dante, I feel just a little bit weird that I have to getting used to use a Balrog rotation, because in the original games, I barely even use Barlock. I only use Sword, so it's kind of still weird. But yeah, I guess this is a new stuff that I have to getting used to. So that's pretty much it. If you like this video, feel free to hit the support button and like, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.